Good morning, Chairman Issa, Ranking Member Cummings, and members of the committee. My name is Michael Daugherty, and I am the President and CEO of LabMD, a cancer detection laboratory based in Atlanta, Georgia. We were a private company that I founded in 1996, a small medical facility that at its peak employed approximately 40 medical professionals who touched nearly 1 million lives. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you as a small businessman and medical professional about my experience and opinion at the hands of the Federal Trade Commission. What happened to my company, its employees, physicians, and their patients is what springs from the FTC's unsupervised playbook. And that playbook relies upon coercive and extortionate strategies to make large and small companies alike quickly succumb to FTC demands. In May 2008, our nightmare began with a call that could happen to any American. It was from Robert Baubeck, the CEO of Tiversa. And in the words of former FTC Commissioner Rausch, Tiversa is more than an ordinary witness, informant, or whistleblower. It is a commercial entity that has a financial interest in intentionally exposing and capturing sensitive files on computer networks. Mr. Baubeck told LabMD that Tiversa had found LabMD patient data on the Internet but refused to tell us more unless we paid and retained them. Everyone in medicine knows you cannot go out intentionally looking for vulnerable medical files so you can take them, read them, keep them, distribute them. This is probably a crime, but it's definitely vigilante behavior, and it's outrageous. In January 2010, Alan Scheer, an attorney with the FTC, contacted LabMD with an 11-page, single-spaced letter opening a non-public inquiry. We responded by sending in nearly 10,000 pages of documents, and we invited the FTC to come to Atlanta to see our facility, to tell us what we were to do differently, to tell us what their standards were. The FTC declined. We quickly discovered that until told otherwise by the courts or Congress, the FTC presumes to have jurisdiction to investigate any company or person. When we asked the FTC where they were going with this, they would obscurely mention consent decrees, and we learned that FTC consent decrees actually are this. You sign up for 20 years of audits, you enter the FTC Hall of Shame via craftily worded press releases and half-truth congressional testimony. The fact that you've not been found of any wrongdoing stays buried deep in the fine print, and the threat of being tied up for years in court and drained financially is their gun to the head to extract false confessions. In August 2010, I had to find out what was going on here because something felt odd and wrong, and I learned that Homeland Security gave $24 million to Dartmouth to partially fund their data hemorrhage study, and Dartmouth stated that it got the LabMD file by using Tiversa's unique and powerful technology. Tiversa put out a press release in May 2009, I found, which in part stated, Tiversa, and this is their words, Tiversa today announced the findings of new research that revealed 13 million breach files emanating from over 4 million sources. Tiversa's patent-pending technology monitors over 450 million users, issuing 1.5 billion searches per day. Over a 2-week period, Dartmouth College researchers and Tiversa searched file-sharing networks and discovered a treasure trove, a spreadsheet from an AIDS clinic with 232 client names, a 1,718-page document from a medical testing laboratory, and requiring no software or hardware, Tiversa detects, locates, and identifies exposed files in real time, end quote. What does Tiversa want you to think exposed means? Out of 13 million files found by Tiversa, how odd is it that the two mentioned in their press release are sitting at this table today? I was stunned that nobody was asking who this private company was who was stockpiling other people's sensitive information. What gave them the right to assume ownership? September 2013 to April 2014, the FTC pursued litigation against LabMD via their optional administrative process rather than in federal court. FTC Commissioner Wright said this process provides the FTC with institutional and procedural advantages. This is lawyer speak, for the FTC stacks the deck way in favor via rules Congress allows them to make. They admit hearsay that would never fly in federal court, which is why we aren't in federal court. Federal courts won't intervene because Congress says they can't. When asked about the FTC data security standards, Alan Scheer said, and I quote, There is nothing out there for a company to look at. There is no rulemaking. No rules have been issued. Yet, even without any standards, they show others what happens if you push back. They subpoenaed approximately 40 different individuals in my company, long-gone LabMD employees that left the company up to 7 years before, current staff, managers, outside physicians, vendors. These witnesses were forced to retain counsel and were intimidated and scared. Here is the message to all that are watching from the FTC. This is FTC justice, and this is going to happen to you if you don't play along. And then the penny dropped. During the trial, a former Tiversa employee who was to testify regarding Tiversa's acquisition of LabMD data and subsequent submission of the data to the FTC invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. All Americans should be outraged by the FTC's unchecked ability to pursue a claim that is not based on any legal standard. Outraged that the FTC's administrative proceedings do not afford the same guarantees of due process that our federal courts provide. And outraged with the FTC's use of and reliance upon information from a private for-profit entity. If this has happened to LabMD, a small medical facility, a cancer detection center, this can happen to anyone. This does nothing to help Americans adapt to the constantly changing cybersecurity landscape. We are not mind readers. We are law-abiding citizens. I call on the FTC to stop attacking victims of crimes, and I thank the committee for its time and attention to this matter.